Hello. I'm no cabinet maker, so you can bet that anything I can do, you can do just as well. All you need is common sense, a methodical approach, and above all, a love of working with wood. Woodworking is my passion. I like the texture and warmth, the presence of wood. In fact, at home, I've built all the wooden furniture in my house. I'm never happier than when I've found something new to create. So now I'd like to share with you the secret of my success in woodworking, the Bestcombi. I like this machine because it's a compact woodworking system that incorporates everything you need for carpentry and cabinet making. You'll be amazed that within such a small space, Kity have incorporated a mortiser, a surface and thickness planer, a circular saw, and a spindle moulder. To prove it to you, I'm going to build a piece of furniture designed by one of my favorite clients, my daughter Susie, who's only 10, but is very bright for her years. To do her homework in the evening, she wanted a desk of her own. I helped her a bit with the dimensions so that the design would be flexible enough to grow with her. Of course, it's quite easy to go and buy a child's desk like this from a store. But by doing it yourself, you can be sure that it'll be built to last. With the Bestcombi, you too can build a quality desk like this. And along with this video, we've included a copy of Susie's original drawing with the modifications I suggested. So let's start with the writing surface of the desk. Ideally, you need pieces of timber 375 millimeters wide, but I've used mixed sizes 80 and 150 millimeters wide, which I can glue together to make a single panel. First, we need to face up one surface by using the planer. It's important to make sure that the guard is always between the blade and your hands. Remember to keep up the pressure on the outfeed table of the planer to ensure a straight cut. Move the stock over the cutter at a slow, even pace. Repeat the cut until you have a level surface across and along the grain. The Bestcombi can take up to a 3 millimeter cut at each pass. That's an example of the kind of power this machine offers. As you can see, the board is thinner on one side than it is on the other. That's quite normal because sawmills don't produce square boards and the wood changes shape as it dries. That's why we can't just turn the board over and plane the second surface in the same way. To ensure an even thickness, we need to use the thickness planer. To use the thickness planer, remove the guard and fence. Lower the bed and take off the dust extractor. Relocate it on top of the machine and clamp it in position, and then raise the bed to the correct height. You do this with the aid of the vernier wheel, which you can attach on the left just below the exit side of the machine. You can now square up the wood. Make repeated passes until you achieve the required thickness. Then we need to go back to the surface planer to join the boards edge to edge. Don't forget this repeat process or you won't achieve the perfect edge finish that's required. The three separate pieces are now ready to be made up into one. When they're glued, they'll be stronger than a single board of this width, and there's less risk of distortion. Apply the glue to the edges, and then clamp them up. Now don't forget, if you want to check any stage of this operation, you can always rewind the tape and watch it through again. Now that we have all our timber prepared, we'll begin the construction of the desk. We start by cutting the legs and stretchers to size on the circular saw. Just look how easy it is to change the Bestcombi from a planer to a saw. Swing the belt guard away, take the belt off the motor pulley by turning it. Now attach the belt to the saw pulley and then back on the motor pulley and give it a quick turn. And that's it. The circular saw is the most versatile and useful part of the Bestcombi. The engineers at Kity know how important a good saw is to a woodworker, and they've designed this one to do the job right. We'll start by cutting each leg and stretcher to the same width. The cutting fence should be locked up parallel with the blade. Then measure the correct length and start to cut along the grain using the Bestcombi guide like this to cut all the timber to the correct width. The guide has several unique features. It has two precision machined faces for perfect angle cuts and an adjustable stop for precise length cuts. We use this adjustable stop to ensure the correct length of each part. Just watch how easy it is to make several pieces all exactly the same. For this desk, we'll use the traditional mortise and tenon joint. We'll cut the mortises on the slot mortiser, and the tenons we'll produce on the spindle moulder. First, carefully mark out the center of each piece and the depth of the mortise. Slide the guide bars into the bed of the planer. Put the wood in place and hold it against the bit. Set the stops along the length of the mortiser and then set the depth stops. Feed the wood in gradually whilst moving the table quickly from left to right. Make sure you go all the way to the stop at each pass. Real woodworking enthusiasts like me will have already spotted that another major advantage of the slot mortiser is that it can be used for precision boring. Let's move on now to the spindle moulder. It's this machine that allows you to make different mouldings, grooves and rebates. We'll use the tenoning carriage on the spindle to cut the tenons. When you've made all the adjustments, put the wood on the bed and cut the depth of the tenon. We can now move on to profiling the remaining parts of the desk. Just watch this and see how professional results are obtained on this flexible and powerful Bestcombi. As we profile the wood, the hold-down springs and the curved guard hold the work securely in place. Slowly move along the cutter like this. Now that we've finished assembling the leg sections, we can move on to the main part of the desk, which is the box section at the top. Here we use finger joints. With the wobble saw blade mounted on the Bestcombi circular saw, making finger joints is quite easy. Watch how I adjust the width of the cut according to the amount of wobble on the blade. Then I start to make all the cuts at equal intervals along the edge of the wood. Using the first piece as a guide, I then cut the slots in the same way in the next piece. Now cut the sides of the box to the correct angle for the lid, using either a mitre gauge or a jig with the cutting fence. Then we're ready to glue up the desk frame. The top part of the desk is used for storing odd bits of things like notepads, paper, and all the other bits and pieces that usually clutter up any work surface. We start by making the upstand that forms the back panel of the cabinet. It's a multiple section, as you can see. First we make the frame and then the centre panel. To do this, we use the spindle moulder to cut the tenons and profiles of the various sections, and to produce the centre panel, we use the profile cutter with the work firmly clamped on the bed as before. The drawer support frame is a simple open mortise and tenon joint made on the spindle moulder. Use the wobble saw to produce the correct width and depth. The drawers are made just like the main box section of the desk. The front panel of the drawer is shaped using the profiler. And that's it. A quality piece of furniture made in a series of simple, easy-to-follow stages with the expert help of the Bestcombi woodworking system. I've hardly begun to show you the versatility of this impressive machine, but I hope I've given you an idea of the kind of work that can be produced in your own home workshop. To recap, remember that cabinet making is made up of a series of steps, each one no more difficult than the last. But provided you have the right equipment and you use the full potential of a machine like the Bestcombi, even a beginner can produce results which stand comparison with the best professional work. What sets the Bestcombi woodworking system quite apart from the rest of the competition is first of all the care and pride that goes into the design and manufacture of this equipment. The Bestcombi is a 100% European product. The craftsmen who build it are first-class tool makers who are expert at producing equipment of the highest standard. This video presentation shows you just some of the unbeatable features of the Bestcombi system, with moving parts that are perfectly balanced, castings that are finely made and machined, and accessories that are practical and greatly extend the capacity of the machine. The Bestcombi is the perfect system to meet the demands of either the inexperienced beginner or the advanced woodworker. The circular saw, surface planer, thickness planer, spindle moulder, and slot mortiser form the basic components of top quality woodworking. And a final word. I haven't yet mentioned any figures. Like me, you'll appreciate all the qualities of the Bestcombi woodworking system, which takes up such a small part of your workshop, yet which can play such a large part in your hobby. When you consider the versatility of this machine, its price will come as the biggest surprise. Visit your Kity distributor and you're sure to be convinced. The Bestcombi woodworking system by Kity. A quality product for those who want the best. For further information, contact Kity UK.